Hey, everybody.
How's it going?
Going well. How about you, sir?
Good. Just busy. I'm actually setting up a private Ethereum node for another project.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Nice.
learn how to do it as, but then after the merge happens, it's going to change.
You're
So
gonna have to change it again.
technically you
No?
can send a message that will update it and it will
Okay.
automatically go to proof of stake. But for the time being, just playing with how you can set up a node and have different networks communicate with each other. So
Nice. Good.
yeah,
How
it's
many people have joined?
a lot of reading up. Well, that's typically a good time for this kind of market is you can
Yeah,
allocate
yeah,
time.
absolutely, man. Build. That's what the right. I mean, get stuff
Well,
done. You
learning
have a little
instead
more
of
time.
trading. I feel like trading is
Yeah.
not the best use of time unless you're
Mm-hmm.
making a lot of money, of course.
Yep.
Um,
Get
so
a little
instead, it's
respite.
like, say that again, Jim.
Oh, I said you get a little respite from the trading.
Yeah,
It's been kind of nice, definitely. Yeah. How's the job?
yeah. It's a new company now, starting from scratch pretty much. So I'll be like
Mm-hmm.
the acting CEO for now. As like it's like I have several jobs at once always, but the previous one,
Well, not as bad as the other one.
well, the
Okay.
fintech one is still kind of active, but just it's going to take some time for the roadmap to materialize. So
Right.
I'm just like jumping onto another project, and it's crazy that everybody is still trying to hire in the space. So even though treasuries are down and the markets are down, everybody's still trying to hire. It's still like everyone's still on full go.
Yeah.
But I can tell obviously the market sentiment is obviously terrible.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
that's fine actually. And then the people you meet during these conferences and in other companies are the people that are actually there for like the right reasons, right? To
Yeah.
build
Of
something
course.
that's useful in the space. When you're in a bull
Mhm.
market, you kind of lose like sight of what is actually important in Web3, and then you see all these things like that are just clones of each other and just total BS.
Yeah.
And I think now it's
No
like more
utility.
like people won't build anything now that's not supposed to be useful in real life, right?
Hmm.
So
True.
that's something that is a positive. What's going on right now?
Yeah. Good.
And
Well, let's can people speak right now? Can you speak if you want to? Is everyone muted on your own? Just let me know. I think when I did the settings, I
Hey
wanted to
guys,
oh,
can
you
you hear
can
me?
speak. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you well.
Yeah, I think so. Nice.
How you
Hey,
doing,
it's
man?
real nice. Cool, man. Real nice to be with you live for the first time. Cool.
yeah,
Thanks for
Well,
this arrangement and
yeah,
invites.
yeah,
you
we
get the
figure
maestro.
it's tough times, so this can be like a group therapy session.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All right,
always
so
always
we'll
helps to
start in
be
another
with good
minute.
people.
Yeah, I think whatever you're doing, right? I mean, community is so important. It can't be understated, especially in times like this, in turmoil, when things are tumultuous. I think that's when you need community more, and I see some people, I get it. It's stressful. I think it's hard for everyone. But I think this is the time you galvanize and you try to come together. We're all making our own financial decisions, but we can at least come here and talk and commiserate and, try to make some prudent decisions moving forward and, see where things are going to go. But for me, it's always been helpful to, be with a close knit community, people and that are like minded in the space and see where Web3 is going. And you get the maestro tonight. You get the man. So that's exciting. Well, it is 6:30. Is Julio on here, Jeff? I don't even know if he's on here. Is he on?
I don't see
I
him.
see him. I don't see him either. Yeah. So you want to open with anything or you want me to just have some, just hit us with some questions?
Well, I'm
You cool
definitely
with that?
unprepared for this, so but I can say a few
But
things
that's
ahead
yeah,
of
no,
time.
you don't have yeah, go ahead. Just
So
like give a
yeah, let me just open it up really quick. I think someone in the chat put something funny, which is nothing in
penny.
this AMA is financial advice. Crypto involves significant risk, and investors must do your own research. Blah blah blah. Okay, so that's something I have to get out of the way. Second of all, just like kind of, I want to make this more personal. have everyone kind of ask questions to get to know me. I'm honestly just a regular guy that spends too much time in crypto. And a lot of the time in 2017 was spent trying to get deal flow. And one of the good ways to do that was just putting myself out there and writing a newsletter. And then I could share that with different projects and they could say like, well, this guy sort of knows what he's talking about. So I'll let him get involved with our project. So that was originally how this kind of started. And it just kept going. So I'm still here and I'm like, well, I got to keep continuing this. I feel like I'd let you guys down if I just shut it down. Right. But I'm still going on. I was actually not full on crypto until recently. I was more like enterprise space with Cisco, Salesforce, those kind of companies, large enterprise. Then I decided to hop into the startup space. So I was doing like wearing all the hats, pretty much sales, ops, product, and then went from like an automation startup to a fintech, and now starting my own startup, working with some pretty prominent people on it. So there's like enough funding and network to get involved. But I'll also just doing like a hedge fund too. Like I have the fund, the newsletter, and this new company that I have to start. So getting fully involved with Web3 now and spending a lot of my time networking and just getting to know what's really going on behind the scenes. And I think those are some questions you can ask, is like, what are people actually we're talking about in crypto, and going to these conferences? What are the discussions that are happening? So anyways, opening that up as like the first statement. But if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to start, I guess, answering. And it could be for me or Jim or Julio, obviously.
They get me a lot, the people that are on the other platform. So it's good for them to have some time with you. But yeah, we're all here. Does anybody want to chime in first? Anything you would like
actually,
to
there was a ton of questions in the chat already. And a lot of it
I did not see
sounds very suspiciously like financial advice. So we can't offer financial advice, but let me just start by saying right now is like terrible times. Like it's not just crypto, it's all over the world is experiencing inflation. Everybody's getting hit hard. Basically, what they thought their net worth was last year is completely kind of blown out of the water this year. And that is also reflected in pricing of various assets, right? And the thing is, when you have inflation, prices of whatever prices you see is like kind of the wrong price, right? I mean, that's like what everyone has to pay for, the market value, but it's the wrong price. So even the stock market price or even the crypto price, when you have the Fed fighting against it, you gotta like think about the newsletter. Like it's a great reset. So every price you see needs to you have to like blow away all your expectations and try to get back into normalcy. What is the price? What should the price be? What should the price of the stock market be? What should the price of crypto be? What should the price of gasoline be? Right. So that is like in the process of readjusting or resetting. So that's kind of what's happening now. And it sucks because a lot of people just have a lot of stuff invested and all that stuff. Again, like it sucks to think like, oh, my expectations are I don't have to work anymore, or my expectations are this is going to 10x further, right? So as long as you reset that, that actually sets you up mentally pretty well for things going forward. So things going forward is like, what is the market going to be like in a year from now? And what is it going to be like in 2 years from now? And where should I position myself there, right? And a lot of people are asking like, what kind of portfolio construction should I have, right? And I was very heavy into stables very early on in this year, actually, right? Every video ended with remember to take some profits. And part of the reason why I was in stables was because there's these ridiculous returns on some of these yield farms. And make no mistake, I lost a ton on Luna and UST, but for the most part, I was already thinking that the market was overheated. And the biggest hints were all these doggy coins getting minted out of nowhere and all going up 10x. That should not make sense, right, in the market. That just like it's a clear sign of like a top signal. And when you see like NFTs also like blowing up, like just random NFTs coming out and blowing up, it was very, very similar to last year or 2 years ago when DeFi summer happened, right? All these coins would come out and then just like 10x, right? So when you see these things happening, you got to immediately think, okay, top signal, right? And I have like this like strategy where if it's an NFT, for example, I'll buy 3 and then I'll try to use the first sell, like the moment it gets 3x, sell 1 because you've automatically got your basis back. If there's a ridiculous price jump, then that's where I sell the second one. And then the third one I usually keep. So that's kind of like the strategy with NFTs for me personally, but that also goes with coins. So like if you see like the coin goes up 3x, you can automatically take back your basis, right? And if you see the coin 10x, you should be like, well, I should sell that second, third right now, right? And then you could keep like a moon bag behind in case it 100x's or something, which is very rare. I think there's a lot of survivor bias where people think, oh, I should hold on to this because it's going to 100x, right? Always remember like the profit taking part. Now, in terms of going forward, how do we like position ourselves now? Again, still very heavy cash, still very heavy stables. I have this like trading amount that I'm like willing to lose so that I don't mentally stress about it. So that's like trying to time the markets, and like I thought there was gonna be a bounce on the interest rate announcement yesterday, and there was a bounce, but it's fading very quickly, right? Because this whole Three Arrows Capital situation is still unfolding. We don't know how big the damage is because all this money they owe. So in terms of portfolio construction, again, I'm stepping in slowly into both crypto and stocks on any crazy red day. I actually bought some stocks today because I was like, wow, the market's down so much. But I'm just buying in little by little. So like if I have, let's say $100, I would probably spend like $2 to $5 of that in the markets every time there's a huge red day. So that'd be like, it would take me 20 of these kind of red days to fully allocate, but there's still a lot of time. Like I'm waiting, like, I think it's going to last like probably until November, but just in case, I'll have some cash on the sidelines anyway. So if it's in the newsletter, the portfolio construction, like 10% of stuff in layer ones, half of it in stables. I'm just gonna look at it right now, what I wrote. Oh, layer 2 and utility, another 10%, right? And then core coins, like 30%. So that's like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And then when it comes to like NFTs, like it's kind of spread into different blue chip and speculative categories, right? And then stocks, like, yeah, I'm just, again, slowly stepping in. I treat kind of like Ethereum and stocks kind of the same category because they're kind of like blue chip-ish. But like any DeFi, like new coin, altcoin, super low cap coin, I'm not doing any of that right now. I have not touched any of those for a very long, like for a couple months now. So that is kind of my summary of the market sentiment, situation, and positioning going forward. And as things kind of change, I'll of course bring it up. And as the news comes in, I'll bring it up and I'll try to keep you guys aware of what's going on. That's a very long
Jeff,
answer.
I knew, no, it's good. I think everybody's getting a lot out of that. Somebody asked, and I knew this was gonna happen. What stocks did you buy? I don't know if you're willing to divulge anything that.
Yeah. I just bought the index
portfolio.
fund. I just bought SPY. So SPY is just like a mixture of all the top 500 market cap and stocks. So it's very, it performs very well on average every year. So I'm thinking about kind of like percentage ROI per year for different assets I buy. And that one I just expect like nominal returns. It's just something to park money in. Essentially goes with inflation, I suppose, if you think of it that way. If you want something that actually literally ties to inflation, iBonds does that.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned it in the chat before. That's like 9.6% annual right now, but you have to hold it for 5 years.
6 months.
I think it's like 5 years, but you lose 3 months of interest if you go earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Good. Somebody else had their hand up. I think it was Tomas. You had a question, I believe. Yeah, go ahead, man. You're muted.
Mr. iPad, please.
Mr. iPad, fire away. Unmute. We're asking you to unmute, sir, if you can.
Maybe he
accidentally. Maybe he doesn't know. Okay, we can get back to you. Does anybody else? Oh, that is correct. Sebastian said on iBonds. Still has a hand up. Somebody else, feel free to chime in. You have a question.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear this. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Who is this?
It's Tree.
Oh, hey Tree. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
I guess my handle is Relentless Hero in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up? But great to have a face.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask Jeff, how was consensus? Did see any new insights or anything exciting that you're looking forward to that you learned from there?
Yeah. So I bet a lot of the founders in the space and a lot of the VCs. And what's great about the bear market is like you only have the people that are actually caring about building stuff, right? So that was one good thing. In terms of like trends and insights, everybody is starting to talk about like digital identity. Some people talked about so just to expand on digital identity, it's like something that you can go into an application and you know it's you because it's like your Ethereum wallet or your MetaMask like logging in, and then you carry that with you on every single application. So things like Lens protocol, which is like your social graph, you bring that with you. You bring your followers to every application you go to. They want to get rid of all the logins, like email and password should go away with digital identity. So anyway, that's one trend that could happen. You know, it's like people are excited about it, but I'm a little skeptical. I think teaching people about how to install MetaMask to the masses is very difficult. I think you guys are like pros at it probably by now. There's also the cross-chain stuff. So getting chains to talk to each other to communicate with each other. The big barrier there is like every chain has like a very specific thing that it's good at, and having chains being able to talk to each other kind of increases the probability that if any good application gets built on it, that it will be easily accessible and have scale and have like users that you can easily hop around. So one example is you can use your MetaMask, you execute a smart contract, and then on another chain like Cosmos, let's say, it executes over there, and then it comes back and the outcome comes back to your Ethereum or whatever MetaMask address. So basically you can stay in one place and a whole bunch of other stuff happens, cascades down the line. And I'm very ambiguous on what that means, but just think about any application that might need to communicate with multiple systems, right? And then I think another trend is like barriers of entry. So something I'm working on is related to this, but anything with a regular person, if I were to go to anybody in this room and say, hey, I want to send you a Bitcoin right now, what's your address, right? You'd be like, wait, let me check my wallet really quick. I'm going to copy and paste it to you. So we want to get rid of that. Like we think that is a barrier of entry. And the project I'm working on is an example, which everything should be just namespace related. So you just say like, I'm Jeff, I'm Jeff.btc, send it to me, right? And then that's connected to a series of other namespaces. But I know I'm being very theoretical, but the high level summary is making Web3 easier for everybody.
Good. That's great. Any follow up to that, or you want me to move on?
And people are still partying a lot. So I think that's the last like bull market crypto event. I think from now on, people are going to be like a little more stingy on the events.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I noticed for next week at NFT NYC, there's a couple of things, big things were already canceled, and behind the scenes I'm hearing, you know, some of it's definitely financially driven. So interesting. Not surprised given the state of the market.
I see Kai's hand is raised.
Go ahead, Kai.
Hi. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jim. Hi, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Yeah, great to be here. So I'm just going to maybe just ask a question probably on a lot of people's mind. So Jim, like what will you do and what will you think about if Ethereum does go down to say 400 levels at that time? Do you think it will, by the time will go down even more? Or
well, I think this is a very interesting question, because the more you think it goes down, I think the closer to the bottom, right, you actually are. And the question you should ask is like, if you had, let's say $10,000, how much, and you're bullish Ethereum, how much of it would you still have if it was at $400, right? Are you still going to have $10,000 and then you're waiting for 400, or are you going to be like buying in and stepping down? Like, okay, if it hits 1,000, I'll buy a little bit. If it hits 800, I'll buy a little bit. That's something that's like the real question, right? And then to your point, like, will it go lower than 400? That's always obviously a possibility. And we don't know if it's because of regulation, or if it's because of the macro sucks, or if it's extreme deflation, or it's, you know, there's a whole bunch of reasons it could go below 400. But we've all been here many times, right? 2018 was probably the worst one because it was the longest lasting one. But honestly, 2018, there was like nothing in crypto. There was like ICOs and like you could mint tokens, but you couldn't do anything with them. There was literally no use case. I think CryptoKitties might have been there, but nobody cared at the time. Yeah. And then now like 2019 was like another like boring period, but 2020, you started seeing like, hey, you can actually do stuff with crypto. And then eventually like all this other stuff popped up with like NFTs and DAOs and all these other things. But I think what is probably going to happen is things are just going to trickle down until the inflation number finally stabilizes. And then another crypto use case is probably going to come up that no one saw coming. And I mean, we'll see it coming. We'll catch it, I promise. And then that is probably going to like launch another wave of like speculative buying, right? And at that point, you might be too late. You might be like, crap, I should have, it might bounce off 500, right? It might bounce it. So like the whole point is like, no one can predict exactly the bottom. no one knows when inflation is going to stabilize, and no one knows like what actually the price is going to be next month and the month after. I can just give predictions, or like I can give observations and make predictions, but I can't be correct, right? I'm just looking at the data and looking at what I've seen in the past and how it might play out. But there are so many bits of uncertainty right now with like this whole, I can't believe it, like 3 black swan events pretty much, right? You had Terra collapse, you had Celsius go insolvent. Now you have 3AC, which is like a giant hedge fund in the space. It looks like it's also insolvent. So you have all these uncertainties that we have no idea how it's going to play out yet. So it is hard to at this very moment to guess like what is the bottom going to be. But Ethereum at 450 would be minus 90%, and that's like pretty much in line with previous bottoms of bear markets. So I would say like I wouldn't be surprised if it hit 450. And that's all I can say really.
I mean, for me personally, I'm waiting to buy when it's in triple digit territory. And the reason is this time I think different from 2018 is it's just the high inflation environment that was in compared to 2018, and the real like the interest rate increase environment. It just adds a lot of more risks compared to 2018. So previously, I know Jeff, you're always the optimistic one, like calm everyone down, like okay, this time it's gonna last for a few months, then things will get better. And does pan out like that. But just this time, I'm just I don't want to bring that up for everyone's discussion. Is there a chance that you see this wave can last a lot longer than say November? But obviously Ethereum is something I think it's a safer bet, just given the network effect and the merger coming.
I don't think it's going to last longer than 6 months. So I think there are some factors
elections, midterms.
Exactly. Yeah. Elections is another, like usually causes markets to so as a capital allocator, you take money out when there's uncertainty. And then when you have certain events that happen, like the elections, then people allocate capital to those like specific agendas, right? And then when people allocate capital, the whole market goes up. So even in November, just not even based off of the inflation spike from last year, that could cause like a market bounce too. But you're right, like there's quantitative tightening, there's a recession, there's like layoffs. But just like thinking about previous bottoms and recessions, I don't think it's as bad. Like I think 2008 was actually worse in terms of like the macro. But in terms of crypto, the 2018 I think is worse than this one, because I feel like 2018 there was actually no like use cases, and now there's actually like a lot of use cases, but a lot of regulatory uncertainty as well. So like, we're gonna see if that plays out as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have other questions, but I'll let other people ask questions first. Maybe I'll jump in a bit later.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, pal.
T?
Somebody else want to jump in? You see that you got one, Jeff?
Yeah, T has a.
T, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, thanks. And I actually did appreciate the other questions as well. So, but when you said 90%, I was just wondering, is that like a bottom that's historically only in crypto or also in stocks?
Oh, that's in crypto. So stocks typically go like minus 30 to minus 50. Same with housing, actually. So in previous housing decreases, there was about 30% was like the average decrease in the previous crises. So stocks, I don't see stocks going 50%. NASDAQ is obviously an outlier because it has a lot of tech stocks, and those are down quite a lot. But like S&P 500, I think if it went minus 50%, that would be like I would be buying a lot at once. So and to answer your question, it's mainly a crypto thing.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Someone's barking behind me. Okay. Also, just to note, like I still remember the bottom of 2018, the despair I felt in my stomach. I was like, I gotta sell it all. It's over. It's dead. Crypto's a scam. And then I sold a lot. I mean, not even for that much, maybe a couple of thousand, maybe like 20,000, but it went up like 50x after. So I probably shouldn't have, right? So the more sickness you feel in your stomach, you should probably just like, if you're just like, it's only a little bit, then, it might not even be worth selling at some point.
Yeah. Just hold on to it. Yeah, I'm with you.
But not financial advice. So
never. All right. Who's next? Let's
Hi,
keep
Jeff
going.
and Sebastian. Oh, there is a lady.
Go ahead, Sebastian.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, hello, everyone. Hello from Switzerland. I have a question for Jeff and for all of us, actually, about the regulation, because I really believe once crypto Web3 will be regulated, I think that's when the profits will explode, in my opinion. And what do you think, Jeff, about, are you following that? I think there is a couple of bills already. I mean, I don't follow so much the United States. I do the best as I can, but I think they're pushing something, especially on stable coins. I don't think Bitcoin is going to be a security. I don't believe so. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Let me summarize the legislation that's already being proposed. So a lot of the digital assets are going to have to register now. So there's no such thing as an anonymous developer or anonymous DAO anymore. You have to like register with the SEC. And I have like, I'm forming a DAO right now, and I'm actually going through like hundreds of thousands of dollars of legal fees just to do it. So it's going to make new crypto projects probably less because of that. So that's like one negative outcome. I think there's going to be less experiments, but the positive outcome is like stable coins are in the legislation are supposed to be backed now. They must be redeemable. They must have an on-ramp and off-ramp that is KYC'd. So another outcome is like maybe using MetaMask, you have to like put in your driver's license or something to use something like that. But other parts of the legislation was like, if it's under $200, there it's actually not a taxable event. So that's actually amazing. If you have like, if you made $1 million in Bitcoin, you can spend it in $200 increments without getting taxed now. But overall, the legislation is very bullish in my opinion. So I gave some negative things, but for the most part, it just like legitimizes it. It makes it like more reasonable, prevents scams, prevents bank runs. And then I think even smart contract exploits for DeFi, there's going to be some like legislation in there that proves it's hardened. So overall, once the legislation passes, I think traditional finance is going to get in. So you'll see traditional banks already getting in now, like Fidelity and BlackRock and Goldman Sachs, and then Citadel. Even Citadel was like the enemy of everybody, and now they're creating a crypto platform, right? So they are all I think the main outcome of regulation, other than like some barriers of entry to new developers, new projects, and all that, is that traditional finance is going to get involved, and most likely they step in slowly. So they might get into stable coins first. So for example, you go to your bank, you might be able to deposit USDC into your JP Morgan account, right? And then that you can spend it off your JP Morgan account, right? So things like that will probably be first. And then when we see stuff like interest bearing or loan lending, that will eventually come, but I think it'll be slower. So it's bullish to summarize.
Yeah, I was just going to say though, I foresee the language in there and a lot of a lot of altering probably, right? I mean, in terms of what goes on behind the scenes with different committees, as they look at that and the different language, and the lobbyists come on in, and they're going to be heavily involved in that. So I don't know what you think on it, but I just think I would love for it to be like this, stay this way. But I'm of the mindset that they'll probably try to change a lot of it, and hopefully not for the worse.
Interesting. There wasn't actually any NFT legislation, but I think,
of course, I
think
know
digital assets kind of falls in that.
Yeah, they fall into that. Yeah.
But it's like a little ambiguous because I don't know if like you sell an NFT ticket, does that count as like do I have to register, right? Is that something that's
a lot of the conversations I'm in? Yeah. Yep.
Because if I sell you a ticket,
you said the ambiguity.
Yeah, it could increase in value, right? It's a security.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So anyway,
true.
That's just a joke. Nikki, I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, she had a question.
Hi, thank you so much. So you may have already answered this sort of, and I apologize because I'm greener in this space, and I feel like the landscape is always changing so quickly. So just when I feel like I have a grasp, it's like everything kind of goes sideways. But what really comes to me, after these 3, what you would call black swan events, right? I start to think, okay, so how is this going to impact DeFi? And what kind of protocols are going to be coming now with seeing everything kind of go upside down with these major platforms that everyone seemed to be so trustworthy of, right? So, just thinking like, okay, so they've been giving away these like huge yields and everyone's been, kind of like raking in these massive profits because they kind of figured out how to play things. Like, how are these events going to affect the different protocols and things like that? So
yeah, this is a great question. I think the two words that are very, very important are going to be number one, battle tested, and then number two is sustainable, right? So a lot of the DeFi projects we saw in 2020 were clearly not sustainable. They had like yields of like 10,000% APY and all that stuff, right? So being in the market, like going live with these and then letting them run and then seeing things like change, like prices go up, prices go down, and how they affect those protocols is a battle test, right? Like, for example, Terra could not survive a bank run, right? And that's like obvious for most banks in general, but that, like, the Terra Black Swan event made it so that algorithmic stablecoins are probably a big no-no. I don't think anybody's going to create an algorithmic stablecoin probably ever again, right? And that's like one outcome of that. And then for the sustainability part, people are going to come up with projects that have more thoughtful token models. If there is a yield or if there is an airdrop, if there is any return on investment, they got to be very thoughtful of like how that looks like in years from now, because a lot of these projects came out and they were already like, oh, we'll just get rich. We'll just launch a project. And then once the token spikes, let's get out. And they just rug everybody, right? And there's no way of telling who's legitimately in, who's legitimately out. You don't even know some of these people. They're anonymous. So anyway, like to summarize the answer, it's like battle tested and sustainable. Those are like the protocols you have to like look at from now on. And then of course, no more algorithmic stablecoins.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I live on Maui and it's like, we've just seen the whole, like this landscape shift. So it's like, everyone became a cash buyer and like there's a lot of like crypto cash that came in of people that kind of figured out how to work the system, right? If that makes sense. And then use leverage and they're just like, it's just insane. And I'm like, okay, so I start learning, right? And it feels like everything goes sideways.
Yes. A lot of people's worlds are crashing down on them right now. I mean, like the leverage thing with 3AC is crazy because I don't know if you guys know, Three Arrows Capital is like very well respected in the space. They're kind of like, it's like kind of like saying Goldman Sachs just went under. And it's like, what? Goldman Sachs? Like it's like a legitimate, and well, they play a lot of mind games, but overall, like they're well respected in the space, and it's crazy seeing them just get wiped out.
Yeah. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah.
All right, TL, why don't you jump in? Gonna move along. Hey, Julio's here. Julio, why don't you just say hi first?
Hey guys,
jump on, man.
thank you. I'm sorry, I'm late. Looks like I was following the wrong link to the meeting, but well, here I am. I'm sorry, I was with another stuff, but I just wanted to add to last question, Nikki, and saying hello to everybody. Hey guys, how's everything going? I wanted to add that, as Jeff said, it has to be sustainable. It's going to be an important factor for protocols to survive, Nikki, and because this unsustainable inflations projects needs to give those so high APYs is you can just see it now in the bear market is just not holding the selling pressure, and if this goes for a longer time, it's not going to happen that it will survive. And the other factor is that institutional money it's looking for certain stuff that could be compliant for regulations, so they can have their own environments to develop their own financial ecosystems on blockchain. And there are several blockchains working on it right now to be able to create that environment. And I think maybe next year we'll start seeing this coming with a lot of money coming in from institution if all these new technologies of blockchain works. And yeah, I think that's the important thing, the innovation in the technology. And right now in these bear markets, the good projects are building and getting ready for the next wave to come. So guys, I think we are really inside the early adopters group. So things have been bad, many scams and things going on, but these times are times to hold and grow and take the positive of everything that is going on, invest in the right moment, and I think the future is bright.
Thank you, my friend. Good to hear your voice. TL, why don't you jump in with your question, then Parker.
All right, yeah, thanks. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. It's been interesting. Actually, my question was related to Jeff, what you were just talking about with Three Arrows Capital. Just wondering, like, if you're hearing anything like behind the scenes, like, is that over? Like, because from what I've been following on Twitter and whatnot, it seems like there might still be more to come. Seems like they've just gone like completely AWOL. Nobody can get a hold of them. Like some platforms have liquidated them, but not everybody. So just like trying to figure out like how that's going to still play out, if it is, or is it already over? Is there more contagion we have to worry about? What's your sense of that whole situation, I guess, was my question. Are you hearing anything behind the scenes that maybe isn't super well known?
It's probably, most of the stuff I know is already on Twitter. And just to like summarize for everybody, like I think I just mentioned earlier, Three Arrows Capital is like a big hedge fund, maybe like $10 billion of assets. And they probably borrowed a lot of those, like hundreds of millions at least. But basically what happened is a lot of people that were lending to them were expecting some payments because of like margin calls, and they weren't able to fulfill even like a small margin call, like a $5 million margin call, they weren't able to fulfill. So what that means is a lot of institutions are like in the red, couple hundreds of millions right now, if not billions across multiple institutions, right? So if you think about that, institutions are already cash strapped, their business is already in trouble. Coinbase, BlockFi, they're all laying off a lot of people. I won't even talk about Celsius, right? Celsius is like kind of done for. So basically the contagion here is like, what end result will it be if like all these institutions lose a couple $100 million, right? And it's still unfolding. I do think this is a big deal, and we don't have all the information yet. But I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, right? I think like markets probably will head a little lower due to the uncertainty. Like if our target for Ethereum was 1,200, it's definitely 1,000 now. I think I actually wrote that in the chat room. But that's kind of like how I would say it, is like, because of this extra bit of uncertainty, I would take a 20% haircut on the market. That's like a lot, right? But that's the reality.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Parker, you want to jump in?
Yeah, thank you guys for hosting this. Sorry, I'm just now joining, so this question might have already been answered, but first and foremost, I want to say it's a pleasure to hear Jeff, Jim, and Julio's voice. I've been a part of this community for a long time now, and seeing this market events unfold is truly surreal. So in regard to the last question, that was kind of what I was wondering. So centralized finance, with all these companies that are essentially just in the red, is it even risky holding assets such as stablecoins, like even the safest ones like USDC? Or, I mean, I understand you touched upon how stablecoins have to be redeemable, but would you consider having a stablecoin that's such as on Avalanche a high risk, or do you think that something like that is still redeemable, such as like .e assets, since those could be bridged back to its native starting point, which is Ethereum?
I think overall, USDC is safe as like the company and the institution. They definitely have the assets available. I mean, they work very closely with Coinbase as well. In terms of where the USD is sitting on, that's something I can't really answer because it depends where it's sitting on, right? I mean, any of these networks can get exploited at any time. I think USDC on Ethereum is probably safer than any other network. But overall, the worst case scenario I can see for USDC is some sort of bank run that causes them to delay withdrawals. But because they have the assets underlying, it would just be a delay. It wouldn't be like a full-on stoppage like Celsius is doing, right? So right. I think USDC overall, I think I'm more comfortable with it. Our fund personally has converted completely into fiat, and we have told our portfolio projects to convert in fiat also as a precaution. So that's just in case there's a bank run and there are delays in withdrawals. We just don't want to risk that because it's free to be in fiat, actually, right? So, yeah.
Gotcha. I have one more question, if you didn't
Sure.
mind.
Yeah.
So I heard you mention about how you have to register a DAO, and then that comes, of course, with a lot of legal fees. So does that impose any massive hindrance for, let's say, like a small startup founder? I mean, myself, I tried to create an NFT project and just didn't experience much luck with that. But you know, if you're someone who wants to create like a solution that has not been brought to this space, and you don't have funding, how is someone like that supposed to go about that?
So absolutely, it's a hindrance. It's going to be a barrier of entry for new startups that are small and they can't afford the legal fees. There are going to be incubators, and there are going to be like funds that will help out small projects. So that's like one avenue which could be helpful for projects that are trying to get off the ground. I do think there's like pros and cons, right? The pros are you'll get less anonymous DAOs that rug people and like steal the money. But obviously the cons are we're going to see less projects that are coming out of nowhere, but those projects will likely be for real and for serious, like they're trying to do something real, right? Because everybody is going to know who they are because it's registered. So yeah, so for your case, look for incubators. There's a ton of them actually, and then also look for maybe even VCs or just like those avenues are helpful to get you started.
Awesome, thank you, Jeff.
Yep, no problem.
Hey, Jeff, there's a couple of questions in the chat there. Do you want to grab that? I know Jackson asked one. Danny asked one.
Yeah, so the Jackson one, I kind of
those?
was very vague. I just said TradFi is probably the next wave of companies coming in. There will be some protocols, like I think Lens protocol will eventually be pretty big as well, which is more like social networks. So I think there isn't a very clear use case of that yet, but it is coming up. And then I think digital ID networks will become fairly popular maybe next year. It's going to take like 8 months probably for those to really get off the ground running. But TradFi is like the easiest one to kind of talk about because they can just like PayPal and Venmo, they could just easily add the crypto assets. But like when you have major banks start offering crypto assets and even like 401ks with Bitcoin, for example, and they start adding crypto assets, that's probably the next kind of major thing that happens after regulations come through. The next question was real world products. I think this one's a tough one because a lot of the real world products like music royalties or NFTs that can interact with memberships into different events, those are like real world, but is it like really different than the existing products, right? Not really, right? It might make things a little easier, but I think crypto is trying to give the value back to the community versus like having a central entity that gets all the money, right? So in terms of real world products, those are the only two that I see having traction is like communities and the I guess music royalty sharing space, like that has some traction, but it's not wildly popular yet. Trying to think of anything else that I think like stablecoins also are going to have some good use cases in the real world too. So being on and off ramps with stablecoins and earning some interest and yield from them is going to be another thing. Any others, Jim or Julio, that I'm not thinking of?
Well, I think data tokenization is definitely something that's going to happen in different ways, and like the ID, the different types of data and information we have. But I'm not sure how it's going to be tokenized. So beyond stable coins and some with real utility projects, I don't know, Curve comes to my head with all the liquidity. It's going to be tough beyond that. And so yeah, I think that's going to be something, and probably the privacy stuff with different blockchains, it's going to be something important to allow institutional adoption and TradFi adoption.
Just to answer the next question on the chat, Tomo, I think I answered a little earlier. So I was a VP of product at a fintech called Tomo. They had a credit card that didn't require credit score. And then what I was trying to do is bring Web3 to the program. And I actually did a lot on the roadmap side, mockups, getting the different sprints, or not sprints, the user stories and all that stuff set up. And then the crypto engineer, two of them actually, one got fired and then one actually left for another project. So the roadmap of the crypto project at Tomo was probably pushed back at least 9 months. And then meanwhile, I was getting poached by a lot of, I guess like famous people, will just say, and they had a list of projects that they wanted me to help on. So I decided to do that in the interim. And if that one doesn't get off the ground, I always have the option to see how the roadmap looks at Tomo. But Tomo will announce a big fundraise either this week, if not next week. So I did help them close their Series B as well. So a lot of startup talk we can talk about as well if you have any questions. Most of the questions I see so far are about the market pricing though. All right, anyway.
Sip, you have a question. Cyprian, to chime in.
Hey guys.
What's up, man?
What's up?
You even nailed my name perfectly.
Dude, come on. What do you expect?
I don't know. We talk in Discord, but I'm not sure if anybody could put the letters together. Jeff, you said something that I sort of like spurred a thought in my head when you're answering somebody else's question. Because I always kind of imagine when the government gets like the regulation sort of settled, that these big, traditional investor bank type companies, I always imagine them coming in and buying up and raising the price of the Ethereum and Bitcoin mainly. But you mentioned them starting in stablecoins, and I'm curious if you have an opinion, if when they do come in, when we do settle all of the regulation, is there going to be like a pump from that?
I mean, I think there will be, but because of how the market sentiment is right now, I'm not exactly sure how much of a pump would happen. But I think they start with stablecoins because it's very easily predictable, right? If I create a stablecoin infrastructure that works with USDC and I can prove USDC is working on the back end, then the outcome and the launch and the benefits are very clear. If I start with Bitcoin or if I start with Ethereum and I allow customers to buy that, I have no idea how Ethereum is going to look like. Well, as a traditional finance, I think in this chat room we will know. But as a traditional finance like CEO or VP, like it would be very hard to like predict what's going to happen, right? Maybe Bitcoin goes to $1, and then what is your company going to look like? Like, what does El Salvador look like right now? Right? They're probably like not looking good because they just lost hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's why I think it's going to be USDC. But even if they take USDC, all of a sudden Ethereum does look really nice because it's interoperable with Ethereum, right? I can send USDC into an Ethereum wallet or vice versa. And then whatever platforms are built on top of Ethereum, I could use that USDC as well, right? So USDC was like the hero we always needed. We just never knew it was there, right? But USDC does everything that a stablecoin in theory should do. It interoperates with different chains. It can be used on different applications and DeFi protocols, right? So that, anyway, my point is that's why I think it'll start with USDC, and that USDC is actually like pretty robust in general.
Okay. And then that may just cause extra adoption that would hopefully bring money back to the other parts of crypto.
Yeah, I think that's positive. But one thing to note is like if there is a digital currency from the US dollar, does that compete with USDC? And what does that mean for crypto as well?
Absolutely.
Right? So that could
Yep.
be a negative.
Mm-hmm.
But we actually don't know because I don't think the United States is going to be like China and just like shut everything down. I think it'll be more accommodating.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
Thanks.
Sip's he's a good NFT trader too.
Yeah.
Who's?
I try.
You're doing well, brother. Next question I see is this. I don't see anybody else's hand up. What does that mean to China as well as Japan dumping U.S. Treasury? And why is that interesting? I think you had talked about this on the Telegram chat. I think you
I'm not
referenced
sure.
this today.
I don't know if I have the expertise to give a really good answer for this, because this is like a very complicated macro question. But in theory, if you're dumping treasuries, it increases the bond rate, right? Because as like there's more supply of bonds in the market, it becomes more desirable and the rate goes up, like, or it becomes less desirable. People start lowering their prices to buy the bonds, and then the percentage of return you get annually increases, right? So that is the outcome of what China and Japan are doing, dumping the US treasuries. The interest rate goes up for bonds. And then that's actually bad from other investment vehicles, because you're like, well, look at the bonds over there are actually a better buy than putting it in
And
the stocks,
yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
So in terms of like price movement, that's what is probably happening. But in terms of like why they're doing it and what are they trying to destroy the US economy, I don't know. I can't answer that. Like that's out of my like knowledge, right?
They're doing a
Did that
good
make
job
sense, by the way?
destroying their
Or
own.
I hope that made sense.
I get it. I don't, but
So basically China
it
and
was a
Japan
question
dump
that's on the
bonds,
side.
interest rate goes up, and that makes, or bond interest rates go up, and that makes everything else go kind of down a little
Everything
bit
else
because they're
goes
adjusting.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your view on open banking companies? You see them gradually moving to use a blockchain ecosystem like ETH, something else, private network blockchain.
So open banking is really funny because the technology behind it is actually not that complicated. So open banking means like the banks share your data to another platform. So for example, if I'm looking at Jim logs into open banking app, the open banking app will scan Jim's transaction history, his bank account balance, his income. So basically, open banking companies specialize just taking that data, which is actually very simple data if you think about it, and then doing something with it. So in terms of the question Alicia mentioned, which is like verifying audit confirmations, it's like, okay, I sign into the app, it looks at all my history because it's transparent, either on blockchain or on the bank API, and then I'm able to make a decision, right? So in terms of like what my view is, I think it is going to move to those ecosystems, or at least adopt, like they'll look at your wallet and use that to determine your credit score, or it might give you an extra bump on your loan because it sees that you have more money, you have actually crypto assets, right? So your home mortgage might have a lower rate, who knows, right? So that is going to happen. I'm almost 100% positive that they will take those into account for open banking.
And you think it's going to happen in Ethereum? That they will like to have it open source data? Or
so I can tell you, my previous company, we were already starting to factor that into the algorithm. So other people have got to be doing it too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the case.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, why don't you go, and then Kai and Burton, get a couple of more in here.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, how's it going, guys? I had a quick question when it came to, I guess, the stable coins and how they're going to start to act or be seen as in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that Circle, they like you just sent out that they're starting to having some of their offerings for euros and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the main thing is like, okay, is it only going to be like, I guess like 1, 2, maybe 3 stable coins, and the rest of them will just kind of be forgotten? Because I know that in the previous newsletter, you were talking about how eventually Tether might just be phased out and everything, and other stable coins would be more widely accepted. Or would there be a case where they start to possibly, the different stable coins start to possibly act as like national currencies and stuff like that? Like USDC would be, I guess, more used or widely accepted by people in America. USDT will be more so like in Europe or Asia. DAI would maybe be like somewhere in like South America or Africa, just like as an example, and somehow having their own different exchange rates and stuff like that. Or is it just something, or is it just so people have different options to choose from when it comes to stablecoins?
Yeah. So there's multiple ways to answer this. One is like market share and market cap, right? And I do think that market share and market cap will probably centralize around 3. But in terms of like interoperability, I mean, Curve Finance, this is like its purpose is to be able to swap stable coins because of all these like pools of stable coins that can be interchangeable with each other. So it doesn't matter. You can have a random stable coin, as long as there's liquidity, will always switch to another stable coin. So if I had DAI, I can always use that if something only accepts USDC. Like it always will work because I can always swap it to USDC on Curve, and then I could use that USDC onto whatever use case you're talking about, right? So so yeah, it's a multi-part answer, but yes, I think it will, like market cap will probably centralize around top 3 to top 5 stable coins, but other stable coins, as long as there's a pool, it always is interoperable.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
And
want
to your
to,
question,
I want
Michael.
to add, Michael.
Go ahead, Julio.
I'm sorry, Jim. It
No,
all
go ahead.
depends on that. It's liquidity. So you have answering that question also. If you have USD and maybe Euro, that maybe has a lot of liquidity. But for example, in South America, there's a lot of different stable coins in each country. So maybe the time that it will take for that country to take adoption of blockchain and have their own stable coin and back it up and provide liquidity, it might take a lot of time. So I maybe could think of USD and Euro first for at the beginning, and then maybe others might join, but it will all depend on the liquidity it has.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because I'm mostly just thinking to see, I guess, how they'll start, acting or reacting based off the traditional currency markets, and how that will start to change or transform over time as stablecoin market cap starts getting bigger, starts having a wider adoption, and just I guess just seeing how that will start to change, or if it will just be a different type of it entirely.
I think it's gonna be really interesting if traditional finance embraces DeFi in that manner. So if you deposit DAI and it automatically converts to USDC using Curve, but on the front end, like you don't see any of that. You just say like, I want to use like my JP Morgan account with USDC, but I only have DAI, and then you deposit it in and it just converts to USDC automatically. It's very simple to do that. And that's like a very good use case for DeFi, right? But it's like
That
mixed
will
with
be-
TradFi.
That will be really interesting to see. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a very funny question. Like, how is Stellar always in the top 50? And that goes for Ripple, maybe Cardano, Dogecoin, Leo tokens exchange. So there's some utility. What else is in here? Bitcoin Cash, right? What the hell?
What about Litecoin? Where do you sit with
Litecoin?
Litecoin?
Yeah, at least Litecoin has like
I know.
first mover. I mean, like it was like literally the second cryptocurrency, I think, or the third. And it's actually a test net for Bitcoin. It's like unofficially, it's like a sandbox for Bitcoin changes. So at least
we'll keep
Litecoin has some relevancy, but all these others, it's really based off of just like being OG crypto coins. People buy them on apps that like Robinhood has like Ethereum Classic still, right? And you could only buy a few coins on Robinhood. So that's why Ethereum Classic pumped up so much in the last like bull run. So basically, to answer your question, like availability, first mover advantage, and there's always some retail hype or retail, I don't know what it is, like people posting videos on TikTok or something, trying to get people to buy some of these coins. Like Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, I still cannot believe that happened. That was so ridiculous. A retail, I mean, it wasn't like a hedge fund buying them, right? So basically, a lot of retail FOMO happens in the space. Unfortunately,
It was funny though. Last year on one of your weekly videos, you talked about Shiba Inu. You said, "Look, it's probably going to pump." I bought a little bit of it, and it totally took off. And that was maybe like last like April or May, and it was funny. You like totally nailed it. Where before it really took off, and then everybody knew it was like a household name.
Yeah, I think I made like 50% gain on that, and I think it was like $1,000 maybe, or $2,000. And then it would, if I just held it, it would have been over $250,000, right? So
it's insane. Yeah,
it's
same here.
I felt bad, but it's stupid, right? It's like I'm not regretting like a decision made off of like technical features or anyway, that's like it happens all the time in crypto.
Right.
Yeah, because the main driver was marketing of all those coins pumping, Doge, Shiba, all of that. It was just pure marketing, the bull market of 2021. Yeah, and who knows how that strategy will survive in the upcoming bull markets.
So Philip, just answer is it Philippe? The question you made,
Philippe,
I would probably just go with projects that I know work. So like obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum. I actually have mainly Ethereum because I think Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin not in a bear market, by the way. So Ethereum dumps faster because there's more holders of Bitcoin for like stored value in longer term. But anyway, Ethereum, Aave, Compound, Maker, right? These are all projects that are battle tested and sustainable. So like these are projects, if everything really went to crap, I'd probably just add those. In terms of like speculative stuff, I'm not adding any speculative stuff right now because I don't know if it's going to be sustainable or battle tested, right? Those two words that I keep bringing up.
Yeah, I would add
Absolutely.
Curve and Chainlink. Chainlink definitely. Its use case. It's huge.
It's used everywhere. Absolutely. I'm with you on that. It's actually usually does well in bear markets.
Yeah, I think Chainlink is also has a retail following for some reason. I actually bought Chainlink at 10 cents, but I sold it at 30 cents. So I was like, oh man, I'm smart. I have a 300% gain or 200% gain. And then, yeah, lost a few million from that too. But again, the whole point is to be as early as possible, right? With these projects.
Yeah.
Like, this is what the whole program is about, is like, just like discovering these things early stage and then like maybe speculating a little bit. And then if you hold it for a long time, you risk like losing it all too, right? So like, that's why I'm just very disciplined with taking profits where I can, or redistributing profits into other speculative vehicles, right? So that way I'm in the game elsewhere, but I'm gonna miss some games too, or some gains too.
Yeah,
inevitable.
Yeah.
All right, how about two more questions? Sorry,
Julio. I just wanted to add to that question, just what you think of layer ones, because Ethereum is showing there's not Ethereum killer at all. Everything is going on in Ethereum, but some have different features than Ethereum does. So do you think there's another layer ones? I'm a big fan of layer ones, but I don't know. Some of them, I don't know what could happen in the future with them.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned like the top 5 list in the past year, like Solana, Avalanche, Matic, even Near to some case, like these are capable of building similar apps on Ethereum, but that scale better. And I think what it really is going to matter is if they actually have an app that's very good and is killer. But so far, every killer app has originated on Ethereum, right? And there have been some great apps on Terra that are gone now, unfortunately. But I hope to see those come up on one of these protocols as well. Those will come up. A lot of them went to Juno. So Juno is like one of the coins that is like completely dead. But I know a lot of Terra projects that are moving over there. So if I were to choose like a dead in the water coin right now, that would be one of them, right? And that's my thinking, just listing things off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna hit 2 more questions here. Burton and Kai had questions. So we're gonna finish up. Jeff has a lot going on later on in his schedule. So we're gonna make these the 2 final ones. Kai, you wanna fire away, and then Burton, you'll be asking the last question.
Yeah, sure. So maybe just a bit of change of topic. So Jeff, Jeff, Jim, and Julia, you guys have all started managed to create a career in the crypto space. So for many of us who are thinking about starting something in crypto, but obviously it's very high risk, and for many of us, we have like family obligations, stuff like that. So do you have any advice on how you manage this transition into crypto?
Honestly, it's probably like the best time if you want to get into crypto. Everybody that's in crypto now is like building, and they need to hire people to build, right? And you're probably building something that's of good value, right? And I think it's really great to see a lot of the community members actually get jobs in crypto. Like Julio is working at Oasis now. Christina from this community is like head of marketing and growth at Aave, and she's like leading Lens Protocol now, right? She's like famous. She's on podcasts and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool.
I didn't even know that. That's cool. Wow.
Yeah. A couple other people here also went full time in crypto as well. Obviously, crypto is still a very nascent, very risky and speculative industry. But if you want to try to name other technologies now, Web3 is pretty much the only one that's like might make a significant impact in the technology sector. Obviously, there's some healthcare and other industries there, but like Web3 in terms of like the type of industry and tech is probably the only one. Like a lot of the enterprise SaaS companies, cloud, AI, hardware, those are all kind of leveling out in terms of like what potential they have to kind of change things in the world, right? So to answer your question though, like if it's a good time to get into Web3, obviously the market is in turmoil, but I think it's a good time in terms of building something new in the space. And I do think Web3, you got to like stay connected. Like you do have to like meet as many people, go to the meetups, just stay involved, because it moves so fast, and you do want to know people and what they're working on and what you're hearing from them as well.
Yeah, and I want to add to that question. There's a lot of different possibilities, mainly for people who write code, those who are developers. There's a lot of jobs opening a lot. But if you do something different, that I don't know, maybe you work with financial or marketing, or maybe you manage people, you're H&R guy who knows who manage people for companies. Me myself, I before crypto, what I did was non-related with I'm doing right now directly, because but there's a lot of tools that I have from my previous professional background that I've been applying here. But as Jeff says, this is new. We are in the early innovators moment still, and the room to grow is huge. Companies are looking for new talents, so I think it's a good moment to start meeting people. Knowing people is the most important thing. You need to know people, go to events, their Telegram discourse in different projects, being helpful there will make you, will probably expose you in the future to being able to work with this project. So yeah, definitely it's a go. Right now I work only with crypto related projects. Rocketfuel is one of them, Oasis. So it are my main projects right now. So it's just the beginning, and it happened in 2 years. 2 years ago I was doing another different stuff. So yeah, okay, I will empower you to try out.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Burton, you're gonna end our AMA with a question. Fire away, sir.
Oh, really? That's an honor.
No pressure.
Thanks. I had actually 2 questions, and interesting. One of these 2 questions, Kai actually asked them, so that was nice because you gave me only like 1 question chance. So that's cool. That's good.
Well,
I can ask the other one.
Any I guess personal questions that you want to ask us, like
or
non-crypto related.
About me, right? Or is it you're
anybody in the audience?
Anybody?
Anything?
You have Jeff if you want to ask a personal question. He brought it up, not me.
Yeah,
so,
no, I mean, I feel like this is a good time to just get to know each other.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
How's the child?
Yeah.
He's good. He's starting to crawl forward, and he likes standing on. He likes grabbing on things and jumping up and down. So he's doing well. He's doing well.
Nice.
Jeff had tough sledding with sleep for a while. He said he would mention it here and there on the chat, but behind the scenes, right? So that's vastly improved.
Yes, vastly improved.
Good.
Took 9 months, but
you're amazing. I don't know how you did that.
Cool.
Right, Julio? We kept seeing him with the comments.
Anything else? I'm just like
yeah, Jeff, I just want to ask, like, I'm not so technical, so maybe this question is really kind of not so good question. But the thing is, when I was starting crypto, decentralization was a really important part, right? Like something new and something that's kind of innovative thing. And then when we are talking now, there's new players coming in, big players, regulations getting in a picture, and at the same time banks are also the rumors that they will try to kind of also take a share. How do you see this develop, like long term, regarding that decentralization and the freedom that, like, or are we kind of heading, like, with this new technology in at the old way, like centralization part, because they have so big power and so much, like they have the money, and
yeah, I think actually the funny thing about centralization is it moves very slow. Large organizations like, for example, Coinbase, they can't even keep up with crypto, and they're a crypto focused company, right? So Web3 will always be ahead of centralization in terms of the innovative ideas and the apps that go live. And also, like, if you think about like composability, people developing things in crypto like get reused by everybody else, right, very quickly, and then it gets battle tested and stress tested and is sustainable, right? So this is what excites me the most about crypto, because you can see things like really go live fast. Like someone says an idea and it goes live, and then you see if it works or not, right? And then centralized entities are not going to try. There's no way that's ever going to happen in a centralized company. They're never going to experiment something with people's money or see if it works, right? So in terms of like longer term, I think it's going to move slowly in the centralized world, but it'll gradually get integrated with, like I said, things like stable coins, and then maybe with smart contracts, then maybe you'll see like conversions with like assets, and maybe you can trade stocks over blockchain, right? You could already do that in the past, but I think that'll happen with centralized entities as well. Eventually, it's going to be a very, very slow process.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Hey, Jeff, why don't you answer this one for everyone? What would you be doing if it wasn't crypto? What other field would you be in? Like, is there anything outside? I mean, it's going to be tech related, so it's not crypto, right?
Actually, what's funny is I've never known what I was going to do with my life. I actually thought I was going to be like a movie director when I was growing up.
Really?
Yeah,
What?
I just love like making videos as a kid, right? And then I did engineering in college, and then I realized like I'm really dumb. Like I'm just a terrible programmer.
Yeah.
I just like can't get some stuff done.
Sure.
And then I went to like project management. I did like infrastructure. I did analytics, and then I did integrations. And then I still didn't think I knew what I was going to do with my life. And then I did sales, and then I did operations, and then I did product. So basically, I've done almost the whole stack of like a company except for marketing. Which is good to have Julio and Jim here. They're good at that. So I'm like really bad at marketing, or I haven't done anything in marketing as a full-time job yet, but I've pretty much done a lot of stuff, and I still don't know what I want to do with my life. So the way I would answer like everybody who's thinking about what should I do with my life, just pick something that interests you a lot, and then try to just like be an expert on that, and then find a job that you are an expert at because it interests you, right? And I think you'll do very well with that job, even if it's like well, obviously like some jobs don't pay very well, but as long as it's like a job that like has a skill set that you're interested in, you're going to do very well. And then I would also think of life as like a portfolio of jobs. I at least for me, I'm not like the kind of guy to be like, I'm going to do engineering, I'm going to stay with engineering for forever, right? I'm always thinking about just like, okay, I'm kind of bored. Let me find something else that interests me, and I'll spend some time there. And then I'll maybe switch again later, which is not good, by the way. Like you don't want to switch like too often, but at least that keeps me motivated and passionate about like knowledge, gaining knowledge, sharing knowledge, and then I think that gives me an edge overall in terms of like peers that I work with and stuff. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to that, but so the answer is I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
What about you, Jim?
Well, I told our Discord, the MetaFam last week, and I think a lot of people were surprised that I'm not full-time in crypto. So I'm in all different worlds, and I guess for those people, maybe you're on here listening, and you're a Meta subscriber or just on Telegram. You've seen me around. I'm not on as much as I would like to be on the Telegram chat. Just too busy, and I blame it on Jeff. He's got me sucked into this world even deeper, and there's always calls and things that need to be done. It's a lot of fun, but I actually have a theology degree. I have a history degree. I own a business on the side. I have so many different things that I kind of manage in life aside from crypto. So I love it. I got into crypto on accident 6 years ago. I bought Bitcoin, didn't even know what the hell it was. I had to use it to make a transaction for something that was not FDA approved here in America. And that was really my first exposure. And then I kind of dipped my toe in the waters, and then the rest was kind of history. I wish I stayed with it more in terms of like even Ethereum some years ago, but I just really stayed with Bitcoin. And then I don't know, 2.5 years ago, I really, got more into it. So, but yeah, if I was doing something else, a lot of different things. I grew up, I was a big sports guy, played sports in college and such. And so I don't know, long-winded answer on my end.
Somebody asked about financial freedom, and I think it's it's so obviously not financial advice, but overall what I've noticed is if you are the last one to know about something, you're probably not going to reach financial freedom, right? I think like it's always a first movers, like any investment, anything, not even just crypto, but you got to be like ahead of the curve or ahead of the FOMO moment of whatever investment it is, right? So financial freedom, I think the secret to that is just like really being knowledgeable and always trying to learn about what it is that you're investing in. So if you wanted to like make money on houses, like what is the information, what is the network, what is it you need to know before everybody else knows, and making that move, right? So without, this is like what it's a kind of obvious and always in retrospect, but just educating yourself, learning about something in detail, you will be ahead of the curve, right? Unless you get rugged in a DeFi protocol, but otherwise that's the way to financial freedom.
As you get rugged in a DeFi protocol. Hey, just so everyone knows, and I have to say this and not to embarrass him, but I will. This is what Jeff is like all the time on calls. He said it at the outset of this, that he's like, look, I'm just a normal guy. He never, and this is like one of the most endearing things about him. He never condescends. There's incredible humility. As bright as he is, like he's a genius, and it's kind of cool to like watch it. We get that, but sometimes you can't really see yourself. So for those people that, for us outsiders, we're watching, we can be objective, but this is just the way he is all the time. So I really appreciate that about him.
Oh, getting rugged will humble anybody, I think. So
yeah. Well, we've all been there. You haven't experienced crypto. If you've been in crypto, yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I want to let him go. I know he's got some stuff going on. Really, we want to thank you as a community for taking your valuable time and coming on. It would be kind of cool to do this. I don't even know if it was quarterly or once in a while. It would be kind of nice to get everyone together here in the community, whomever can make it. This is being taped in the cloud somehow. I'm the guy that did this. I'm probably the wrong guy to be doing it, but hopefully we have no issues uploading this and people can listen to it at their leisure. But we want to thank you again for coming out, and thank Jeff. Jeff's schedule is, everyone's schedules are busy, but he really wanted to make the time to do this. And that's it, Jeff. Any parting words, Julio? Any parting words?
Yeah, I want to add that to being grateful with Jeff for creating this. It is, for me, it's been just I can't be grateful enough of everything that's come to my life after joining Rocketfuel. And for many people, and man, just keep on going. You are really a genius, as Jim said, and I really love you, man. You're the first thing you told me is I'm a regular guy. You're a regular, brilliant guy.
No, I just spend too much time in Twitter, I think. So I think just to cap off the final words, obviously it's like a terrible market, and like crypto is very cyclical. So personally, I've seen this many times. So I would just like keep that in mind as well. I think I summarized it in the last newsletter, which was like, you're going to hear people say like crypto is a scam, and then some new use case is going to come up. And then this is usually where we try to bring in like the newsletter, and everybody here is like, hey, there's a new use case. It looks pretty good. And then there's all this FOMO, and then prices go to ridiculous heights. And then all of a sudden people start selling off, and then prices go lower, and you start dumping because you even dump at a loss because you're panicking. And then everyone starts saying crypto is a scam again, right? So it happens over and over and over. We're obviously in a bad macro environment as well, but I just want to keep that in mind as we weather this storm and these tough times. So just hope that everyone's okay, and that we can all stay frosty out there. It's gonna be a wild ride. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, whatever, wherever you're at, whatever time zone. We appreciate you coming on, and we will see you soon.
All right.
Thanks
Thank you
a
all.
lot, guys. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.